Today I want to talk about 5 things, 5 headlines that show and prove that the Biden administration has pretty much blown it for the last 3 years. These are things that you probably already know. We all know that it's been in shambles. The economy is in shambles, our foreign policy is in shambles, but let's talk about 5 things that has happened based on that. And some of these you may not know, and it's actually scary. The fact that he is even close in the polls to Trump blows my mind. Now, there is also a rumor that he'll be out by August, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the video. Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. I humbly ask you to give us a thumbs up if you like the content of the channel, and also comment below. We build each other up. We learn from each other by comments. We can share thoughts and wisdom to each other, and I think that helps us grow as a community. So thank you so much for that. Now today we're going to talk about 5 things that Biden has done and implemented into this administration, and then what we're going to do is move on to the fact that there's some rumblings that's coming out of Washington that's pretty threadbare. It comes from a congressman who knows a lot. So let's talk about these stories, and then let's jump into the rumors at the very end. So number 1, there's a new policy that come out that Biden's administration is passing some EPA guidelines that it's actually going to cause for blackouts for most Americans in these liberal states. There's a study that shows that the policies that he's implementing and cutting some of the petroleum, cutting some of the coal, what he's actually doing is harming American jobs. And some of the critics of this policy show that he is actually going to cause blackouts across America. This is the law that he passed that dealt with EPA and how he wants to have a cleaner environment. What it's going to do is actually take away from your power. Now here's the thing. Here's the story behind it though. Biden admin outsources energy policies to unelected blue state bureaucrats. He is now paying tons of dollars, tons of your tax dollars, instead of using petroleum and coal that's lasted for so long, that's done so good so you can heat and cool your home, that's not causing any problems to the environment, that's all a farce. What he's doing is actually using guidance and using non-governmental officials, using people who are absolutely not part of the people that you elected, and giving tax dollars to them to make new policy. Every one of these are located in California and other liberal states, and what they're doing is setting policy for the rest of the United States. You didn't elect them, they're not your representation, but this is what's happening. He is actually giving tons of funds to blue state bureaucrats. This is the Biden administration effectively allows energy policies and decisions to be made by bureaucrats in California who are unelected. It is the CARB, which is the California Air Resource Board, has key outstanding provisions to the EPA. Those provisions will be the ones that will allow for more blackouts across America or your energy prices to skyrocket. You wonder why your utilities bills are so high? Thank Mr. Biden for that. Number 2, we are closer to nuclear war than we've ever been. Listen to this from NATO, and this is again, NATO is ran by tons of nations, but the U.S. is the reason NATO is strong or not strong or sets policy. It says NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg says that they need to take the weapons out of storage, take nuclear arsenals out, show them, and put them out in front of people so that way it deters Russia and China. We need to increase threats to our adversaries. Now this is from the leader of NATO. So who is provoking war? Who is provoking nuclear attacks? What we don't realize is all these people that are doing this, all the elected officials in Washington, all those people have special bunkers. They're going to be able to go into bunkers if all of a sudden nuclear war breaks out. There's specific places they can all go, all your elected officials, all the quote-unquote important people. All the while most Americans and most other people across the world, while everybody is provoking nuclear war, we don't have bunkers to go into. We don't have places to go to make sure that our families are safe. But because of Biden's administration and his weak leadership across the world, he is allowing NATO to literally bring nuclear warheads out and make sure they are aimed towards Russia and China just to help provoke them to peace. Now I don't think that provocation actually brings peace. What that actually does, and goes into right number 3, is we were considered the world power. No one wanted to mess with us. No one wanted to go against the U.S. Well, number 3, guess what happens? Our way of thinking and our all of a sudden lockdowns of funds of Russia, you know what it's done? Listen to this. Russia overtakes U.S. as gas supplier to Europe. So Europe is standing with America, but they're still buying tons of fuel from Russia. It's all a ploy to start a war. So we're not even providing enough fuel for Europe Europe is still buying from Russia. Russia has now become the biggest provider of oil to Europe. Isn't that funny? How Europe, in the mainstream media, they're pushing that they want to start war. NATO is all based in Europe, basically, and they are wanting to start a nuclear war with Russia. However, they're all begging at the feet of Russia to keep providing energy to them because America is wanting to get rid of fuel and coal. So now gas supply is now overtaken, and Russia is the biggest gas supplier of Europe, the one place that wants to destroy him. Isn't that coincidence? Not only that, another story came out that said China is now the best diplomacy mechanism for the world. Most countries have said China is wanting more peace to be brought to their countries than America. Now, do I believe that? No. But what happens is when we have weak leaders, they don't know how to lead, and therefore we fall at the wayside. So now we're not the biggest provider of oil to Europe. We're not a great exporter like we once were. Our economy's failing because of Biden and his policies. Now China has become the face of diplomacy. So what that does is that makes them powerful, and it makes that Belt and Road Initiative, that makes them rebuilding all these areas. It makes them have a lot more allies than us. And remember, a lot of the ones that are allied with them is not the ones that are wanting this Western style woke ideology push. It's the one who has all the goods, all the minerals, all the petroleum, all the things that America needs to survive. So weak leadership now has led to Russia being the biggest oil provider for Europe, who acts like they hate him and they're going to bring out nuclear war against him. However, if Russia cuts off those pipelines, Europe would fail. Isn't it amazing? Our talking points tells us, the mainstream media tells us, and these leaders tell us that Russia's the bad guy. All the while, they're still supporting him and buying fuel from him. That is pathetic. Thirdly, again, with the fact of China being now the diplomat of the world. That is scary to think about because that shows that America is losing its power, all because of this weak leader. Now, this is a report that I think a lot of people have passed up. It's been going on for a while. But of the migrants coming in, number 4, upcoming report, they're fixing to drop a major report online about the fact that Biden has lost 85,000 migrant children in America. You know, as someone who is claimed to try to get truth and have truth, and you know, everybody wants to tell me I wear my tinfoil hat and I'm conspiracy and all that. When you see the fact that there's trafficking going on, that there's problems with drugs and with child and with people and females being trafficked for bad reasons, and then all of a sudden you remember the Clinton situation in Cuba and Haiti, now you see the fact that Biden has lost 85,000 migrant children. Where'd those children go? Are they been sold into trafficking? Who knows? No one wants to talk about it. But now there's a new report coming out saying that this group of individuals are fixing to expose what happened to those kids. And they've got proof behind it. We'll talk more about it as the report comes out. But they're saying, you know, at one time they knew where all these kids were. Now, where are they at now? I want you to listen to this. It says one of the muckraker journalists have taken to X saying they are revealing the upcoming report that exposed the shocking reality behind these 85,000 migrant children who vanished under Biden's administration's first term. They wrote that one government insider has supplied a list of addresses where some of these children went, and they've been delivered under the Biden administration. Now, are they truly helping kids, or are they harming kids? Are they trafficking? Is this all just a money grab for evil? It's just something to think about. Trump, you know what he said, and people, you can dog him out. No one talked about it, and all of a sudden the other day Trump came out and said, I'm going to find these 85,000 kids. And that's what made all of these stories come back up, is that someone said, you know what? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What it is we're such in a news cycle that we forgot the fact that there's 85,000 missing kids from migrant homes that have come across the border. And nobody talks about it. But I'm glad these people are going to expose it. I hope that they get it all out there to show where these kids went, because I think that that's the scary thing, is not only legal immigration, not only the crime is bad in the streets, but now the children are getting misplaced. There could be some evil behind that. And number 5, this is where we're going to see a market crash before long. It says U.S. home sales plunge amid house rising prices, meaning people are wanting more for their homes, but they can't sell them because no one can borrow money to buy the house in the first place. U.S. home sales in May plummeted to one of the lowest levels in the recorded past decade, as soaring prices of high mortgage rates deter potential buyers. Now, I've told you long ago, I think that we need a little bit higher interest price to try to balance out the market. There should not be 0% interest. There should not be 1 or 2% interest. It should be higher so people are, they think twice about borrowing money. Borrowing money puts us as a slave to the lender. So I challenge you, don't just buy something just to buy it. Don't just build something to build it because you're going in piles of debt for it. This is the repercussions of that. Now, no president in the modern past has done well on the budget. We have overspent way too much, and now we're seeing the ramifications of that. But this is one policy where we can do better in. But because we are funding all these other wars and all these billions that we're printing is going across overseas, think how much that 150 or 200 billion that we've put to Ukraine, think how much that would be if we could have invested that back into American jobs, back into the American population, and back into maybe easing some of the tax burden so people can buy things, so people can get on top of the game. It's not subsidizing, it's not giving money away, it's trying to put money in true infrastructure. It's trying to put money in true jobs, not just saying it, but actually doing it. The policies of Bidenomics has basically made where all our money is being spent overseas and no money is being spent here. Even the infrastructure bill that they passed last year, all it was subsidies for China to basically give them all the minerals and the lithium and all that needed for solar panels and for batteries. It was just a big ploy basically for pork. We are actually losing our value in America. We've just been surpassed with fuel. We've now been surpassed to being the diplomat of the world. Now we're actually showing that people don't have enough money to even buy a home. They said the average American who is making under $100,000 a year possibly can't buy a home now. That is mind-blowing. $100,000 is a lot of money. In this economy, though, it's like it's nothing. And that shows that we're on the wrong path of this money. That's why I think that this new report about Biden being ousted may be coming true. We're going to wrap this video with this. Representative Luna came out and said that she has heard from reliable sources across the aisle that Biden will be ousted by August. And said that what they were doing was seeing how he performed on the campaign trail, seeing how he performed, you know, kind of out with people. Well, you see, he is absolutely bombed. G7, there's a report that came out that said the insiders, and they, again, wanted to stay anonymous because they're too scared of the powers that be. They said that he looked weaker and more out of touch than he's ever looked. Talking about Biden. They said that he looked like he'd lose focus very quickly, in that he has progressively gotten worse since last year. That was the words from some of the diplomats that were at the G7 summit. So are we seeing signs of a weakened leader, but not only a weakened leader, that they're going to keep propping him up as the perfect puppet to try to run against Trump? Or now are you seeing, like Luna says, where they're going to replace him? Now, why are they waiting so long? That's been a lot of the, hey, they're not going to replace him. They're waiting too long. That's a perfect ploy. They get them through, quote unquote, the debates. They get them through the time where media can jump on the next guy, like a Gavin Newsom, who has got terrible policies and who is faltering in California. But if he waits till 2 months before the election, a lot of that stuff wouldn't come out. A lot of those bad things wouldn't come out. A lot of the campaign time is over. A lot of the mud throwing from even his party, like, of course, the Republicans had to do through primary seasons, is done. So it makes him coming out like a rose. So I could see this actually happening. Now, there's another report that says if they do not get him out, if they cannot figure out a way to get him out, which I do believe they will get him out by August. If they do not, they said that they are already working the internal part of the government, the NGOs, the career politicians, the career bureaucrats are working on ways with the ACLU, with the Southern Law Poverty Center, trying to figure out ways that they can keep Trump in court even through his presidency. If he wins, he says they want to try to tie him up to where he can do nothing. Is that a prospering America? Do you believe that these unelected bureaucrats and these judges and these people like this should be able to set policy over a president of the United States? It's amazing. The Democrats like Biden, he can do what he wants and no one calls his hand at it. He legally cannot do student loans forgiveness. Congress didn't agree to it, and all of a sudden he did it. Nobody holds him accountable. However, Trump is going to get tied up in courts of fake propaganda, and it will last and work because the Republicans are too weak to stand against it. They grandstand and they actually don't do anything about it. So 2 things are going to happen. Either you're going to see this rumor come true and that Biden gets put out, basically, because of his age or because of his health of his child. They'll commute a sentence, even though they're saying they're not. They will, especially if Biden gets out. That may be the ploy to get him out. Commute or basically pardon Hunter. And then it allows him to get out. They're going to give a monster load of money to Kamala to step back to and to embrace this new running situation with President and Vice President for the Democrats will probably be Gavin Newsom and either Whitmer or someone like them going into this election. Klobuchar or somebody. They'll use a lady. Maybe, I don't think it'd be Michelle. I think that Michelle is the strongest candidate they've got, but I don't know if Michelle would be it, and especially she'd be president. She would run for president, not VP. So I believe that you're going to see something like that take place. But if not, they're already setting up the lawfare in the courts to keep on pushing hard times for Trump and try to tie him up in litigation from corrupt judge, corrupt bureaucrats, and for bad policy. If America could just work together, if both sides would just quit being polarized and work together, we could make an amazing country again and be the stronghold, the diplomat, be the strongest exporter of fuels and importer of only the things that we need, but to be the shining light in the world. But no, we've allowed for polarization and the Democrats to basically ruin that. Now, let's see what happens. What about the 85,000 kids? What about the fact that G7 thought that Biden would look weak? This stuff is very important, and we need to pay attention to it, especially the fact when nuclear weapons are being taken out by NATO and aimed at our adversary. Not a smart decision. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this video. Am I wrong or right? Do you think that he will be ousted, or do you think they'll puppet him to elections and face Trump, and then Trump's got to deal with this crazy bad economy and lawfare for the next 4 years? Give me your thoughts. I want to know below. Comment below what your thoughts are. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.